none. As someone who's been on TV news, nothing is reality when it comes to television. Well, good evening. Well, I guess it's technically still afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. As was mentioned, I deal a lot with what's called social selling, which is using LinkedIn as well as Twitter and other social networks in combination with the tool that we have. It's an online kind of helper application, training application, and it also enables people to actually do what we instruct them to do with what's called recommendation cards that we have within our platform to help them succeed in social selling, which in social selling, that's the process of connecting with buyers as well as with networking partners, can even be friends and family, basically anyone who can help these salespeople with recommendations as well as introductions to other people, so that they can grow relationships online, take online conversations offline when it comes to potential prospects and things like that, and then to continue using social selling techniques throughout what's called in sales the sales funnel, to take those prospects through to the close and then even get referrals from them as well. So it's very, very social oriented. It's very much what's not only up and coming, but it's being used quite a bit now. In fact, something that I'm going to be addressing a little later is when it comes to Microsoft's recent buyout or proposed buyout, depending on who you talk to of LinkedIn. One of the major reasons why Microsoft is actually doing that deal is because of the whole social selling movement. So it was that and the training and the database as well, that social selling was definitely a part of Microsoft's entire reason to buy LinkedIn. So this is not going away, which is good for us in our company, obviously, because that's what we do, and it's something that I have used even before social selling was a thing. I was on LinkedIn making connections with people who I had met, developing relationships, and getting referrals and referring other people as well. So it's a very, very influential movement within sales, and it's going nowhere but up, essentially, when it comes to that. So when it comes to today's agenda, we're going to be talking about a couple things. So we're going to be addressing using the LinkedIn profile as a training and promotional tool, LinkedIn as a the trainer opportunity, how trainers can use LinkedIn to increase revenues and mind share at the same time. And again, we're going to talk a little bit at the end about how the Microsoft acquisition will transform learning and development. So before we go on, I'm just curious, when you read the email about tonight's presentation, were you even aware of ways to use LinkedIn, and how have you used it in your training? I'm just curious.
Like I have it, like my resume's up there. That's really good. That's all. So people can find me, that basically that know me. And anyway, not very well. Okay, no, that's fine, and especially as I train the employees of our clients who, as was mentioned before, are Fortune 1000 companies throughout the world, basically. A vast majority of people who come in are using LinkedIn, at least their profile is that resume type of style, which is fine. It's what's worked for the longest time. For most people, they really don't need to do anything else. But I think as trainers, there's more ways that we could utilize LinkedIn, and we teach how to do that in selling and social selling as well. So we just real briefly, what we teach in social selling is how to transform the profile from that resume type of document, online document, if you will, to an actual resource which people can come to, can find out how the person that they're viewing in the profile can benefit them, because the profile is structured in such a way so that there is constant value being added throughout the profile. And then with the sales part coming in, there's contact information there so that the person who is viewing the profile can then reach out and contact
the salesperson, sometimes before, or actually a lot of times before the salesperson even knows that that person is interested. So it's a little bit of marketing there as well. But with more and more people using online as a resource before they consider something to buy, especially in the B2B world, which is what we primarily deal with. It's primarily B2B companies as well as major decision B2C companies. So that's like insurance and financial services and those types of major purchases and things like that. People are going online to do research ahead of time. So all of this, part of the function is to catch those people online while they're doing the research.
So what you're talking about there, using it as a way to sell your services, I guess. Since Google is kind of like the biggest search engine, when people search for something specific, if your LinkedIn profile is set up the way you're talking about, does it?
Google loves LinkedIn. That is a phrase that I use often in my training, and it's absolutely true. It absolutely loves LinkedIn. If there's a LinkedIn profile that follows somebody's search request, it will pop in LinkedIn results. Absolutely. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen when people search for me. I've seen it happen when people search for other people, including clients of ours. So yeah, Google loves LinkedIn about as much as it loves, about as much as it loves things like video. You always hear that Google loves video. Google loves LinkedIn as well.
Does Google treat LinkedIn differently according to your account restrictions?
Yes, it does actually. So there are ways to set. And that's something that I wasn't going to get into today, especially because everyone here wants to have their, or I would think wants to have their profile viewed widely. So you'd want to have that open as much as possible. There are ways to have it so that the profile doesn't appear in search engines, elements of it doesn't appear to the public and things like that too, basically. So now obviously we don't teach that in our social selling classes and training because we want our clients to be found. But there are people out there who are like that, and you know, we respect that. And
No, I'm saying the reverse may be true. It may be that they are restricted and not realizing that it's
not realizing it is big time too. I mean, there are some times when I'm in my one-to-one trainings and I go into their LinkedIn profiles and I see that they've got their entire thing shut down. They don't remember why they did it or even how they did it. But you know, it's like this is really hurting you because people are not able to find you, especially from the wider LinkedIn search and especially from a Google search and Bing search and things like that too.
So does this apply to the free account, or is this, what you're talking about today, apply to one where you have to pay to?
This, everything that I'm going to be talking about you can do with a free account. So there are free accounts, there are premium accounts, and then there's like Sales Navigator, and then there are a bunch of accounts for Recruiter as well. Basically with premium accounts you get access to more things, and there are certain like search functions and things like that you can get, and there's some other kind of nice premiums, but it's one of those situations where if you're using free and there's a point where you kind of go, yeah, but I want to do more, probably at that point it's a good time to step up to one of the professional accounts at that point. So let's go ahead. There was actually one question that I had. In general, how do you think LinkedIn can be effective in training? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know if this is a good example, but I use it, I go on, I follow people in the instructional design industry, and if they have a post, they recommend an article, or they demo a new product, something with technology, I go and I try it, and then I apply it back on my job. I create e-learning.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're looking for, that's
No, absolutely. That's a great way to start using it. So then let's say if you want to take it one step further, you can then potentially share that out to your network and say, I read this article, it's great for blah, 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 why don't you check it out? Go ahead and share that out to your network at that point. That's, I mean, there are ways to do things like that and then take it one step further, especially, you know, if you're training a lot of people in a department type situation, or even just as a company situation. That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. Having you be seen as a resource for that is only going to strengthen not only you as a trainer, but the entire training department within a company as not only, you know, just, oh, God, I have to go to another training and things like that. You know, that will actually promote you more as experts within your company, so that you're seen as resources going forward, and you really become a much more valued part of the company than you already are, obviously, because you're doing training and everything, but people will actually start viewing you as true subject matter experts if you do that type of sharing and that type of communication by using LinkedIn, as well as any internal types of networks that you may have. Some companies, especially bigger companies, do have those internal type of networks where you can do that type of sharing, but other companies can use LinkedIn for that type of purpose. Oops, are we locked? We're locked.
So sorry.
That's okay. Good morning. But yeah, that's a great example of how to do that. And anybody else have any ideas? That's okay, because I mean, I obviously have some as well, but I mean, this quite frankly is a subject that I don't teach a lot, because I'm normally teaching more sales people, marketers, social media types of people. But this is something that I'm very interested in, because I do think that LinkedIn, when it comes to training departments and training professionals, is actually underserved and not used very much. So I mean, I was honestly throwing that out as a question, because there's no right answers basically, but that's a very good way to do it. The question was, how do you use LinkedIn for training, or how could you see using LinkedIn for training? I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. Especially because you're late, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I'm sorry.
I mentioned this to Bob before, but it was just
Your example was a very good one.
using it as a collaborative tool. So mostly when I'm on LinkedIn, I pretty much am hanging around the groups. So groups that have the biggest interest to me would be things that are either like Adobe Captivate or Camtasia, or things that specifically are dealing with instructional design or other interests I have, but something that I can either like ask questions, or maybe help and answer a question for someone else, and develop those connections. And then I've gone to conferences and I've met those people that I've developed the connections with, so it's really interesting.
Yes, so that's a way to attract a bit more of an external audience, which would be potentially helpful for you all as trainers who actually sell to other companies, to go and participate in those types of groups. Just be that resource for them. And then one of the things I'm going to show is having to do specifically with the LinkedIn profile. So once you build that profile to be more of a resource, after following you out of a group because of a comment that you've made or whatever, they'll come to your profile and they'll read it and go, this gal really knows what he or she is talking about. Maybe I should reach out and give them a call or message them on LinkedIn or something like that. So that's a bit more of the entrepreneurial end when it comes to training, but that's a very valid point as well too. So with this talk, I've tried to kind of bring together, you know, internal trainers along with more of the entrepreneurial, you know, external, you know, people who deal with several companies at once, which is what my company does. We deal with all types of companies around the world. So, but that's a very good way too. So let's go on to using the LinkedIn profile as training and promotional, and that's exactly why I put promotional in there, was for more of the entrepreneurial types tool. So we've already kind of answered the question, why LinkedIn? Basically, it can be a tool, especially for those companies that don't have really good internal communications, that don't have like an internal network to where they can refer to not only internal documents but external ones as well as for the more entrepreneurial trainer to use LinkedIn kind of as that repository, especially when it comes to the profile. So I'll show you how to do this in a couple minutes here, but using the profile sections as almost a different type of library or repository is very important. And we had talked about this a little bit before too, as the profile being a resource for other people and not just a resume. Because we're not like most people on LinkedIn anymore. We are now people who will use LinkedIn for training. So it's not a resume anymore for us, it's a resource. So we should treat it like that. So going on, and then the next thing that I'm going to talk about is going beyond the profile. So linking to employees, sharing content, and using content to drive to the profile and company resources. That's big, I'll address that in a minute. And then going beyond training sessions as well. So that's keeping in communication with other, someone's trying their hands. So keeping in communication with their students beyond the actual training classes as well. So I'm gonna sit down, and this is gonna be fun because I have to turn around to see what I'm doing exactly here. Where did the desktop? There it is. Okay, so there's LinkedIn. I think I'm gonna need to actually do this so I can see this a little better here. Because I need to do this here. So when it comes to the profile, let's go ahead and view my profile real quick. So mine is a bit more, go to view profile as. So this is what I'm kind of talking about when it comes to profile as a resource. So I've done some published posts. These all have to do with using LinkedIn in various ways for social selling. You can get to more of those there. Now these posts anyone can see on LinkedIn as well, not just your internal employees. So depending on what you're sharing on LinkedIn, you know, obviously if there's internal documents, you don't want to share this on LinkedIn because external people can see those. But especially if you're linking to external sources that internal people can use, you can do all of that as well. As we go down here, the summary, we teach that a little bit more as getting away from a resume-based summary into more of adding value. So when someone contacts me more in a sales context, this is what they can expect from me. So I do social selling. My company does social selling. When they get done reading this, they will know that, and then hopefully they will see my phone number or see my email or see my online calendar and then book a call with me or get in contact with me. In the training scenario, you can do that as well by listing just an extension or your email as well, potentially, unless it's very easy for them, for the people you're training internally at a company to get in touch with you. When it comes to more of the entrepreneurial trainers, I would definitely recommend having that there because that's how potential customers can reach out to you. LinkedIn has made it a little bit more difficult for people to see your contact information up top because they have taken this contact info button. So many people don't know that when you click on contact info, you get contact info. A lot of people don't know that. Once upon a time, both first and second degree people could see your contact info. LinkedIn has taken that away now from second degree contacts, so it's only first degree contacts that can see that information. So for the entrepreneurial trainer, it's more important than ever to have their contact information up top here so that people can contact you directly from your profile. The other thing that you can do with your profile is upload documents to it. So these are obviously more marketing for me than anything else, but for trainers, I mean, for entrepreneurial trainers, you too can upload marketing documents as well. For the corporate trainer, you can use this kind of as a repository for some of the more general marketing type of collateral that you use within the company, not only for your employees, but you obviously don't mind people from outside the company seeing it as well. And sometimes, you know, you can even use this as a bit of an HR type of attracting potential employees in as well. If a potential employee looks up a trainer, sees that there's a very good training program, and there's a trainer, you know, and there are trainers there who are very good at what they do, that's actually more attractive for them to apply to the company. That's just like a real kind of offside benefit, but I believe that it has happened before.
And that's in the summary section?
Yeah. Yes, you can upload documents to the summary section as well as experience sections and other areas as well. But because the summary generally appears very high up in your profile, you can go ahead, I encourage people to upload documents to there. So skills, that's more marketing, you don't have to worry about it as much. Here's another area that both entrepreneurial and corporate trainers can use, and that's links to publications. So you can link to any publication that you want here, as long as it has a web associated address with it, obviously. This is a way to communicate not only internal documents or internal articles that you don't mind sharing externally, but if there are good external stories and content that you kind of want to permanently link to, so that, you know, if someone asks you, you know, well, what about this subject, you can say, well, go to my LinkedIn profile. There's a couple of publications in there that you might be interested in.
It's not just things you've published.
No, you can link to anything you want here, basically. Now, with me, I have used this for my own publications because, again, this is, you know, I'm in big time sales mode when it comes to my profile. But with training, you can link to anything you want to, basically.
So what are some examples of things that you would put in there that are not yours?
Okay, so for example, in my job, I end up sharing a lot of content that is just general sales oriented as well as social selling oriented, because more and more sales publications are now publishing social selling oriented material. So if I were to do this in more of a training mode, I would probably put up maybe an article or two that covers the social selling process in general, maybe an article or two dealing with LinkedIn at a high level, and then an article that deals with the profile, maybe another that has to do with sharing effectively so that you're generating interest from your shares. So it would be like those types of things that I would probably put in my profile if I were to convert it more into a trainer profile. But there's all different types of things that you could potentially do here. I mean, it's really up to your imagination. But again, if you view your profile as a resource for the people who you're training, whether internal or external, you can really amp it up to that next level.
Now, when you post, when you put something in there, is it something that somebody just finds when they come to your LinkedIn page?
Yes.
Or is it something that, like, when I go on LinkedIn in my iPad, it'll always tell me, you know, it'll give me a list of people who've done things to their
You can do
profile?
both, actually. So I mean, so just because something is in your publication section here, it doesn't mean it just needs to lie there. I mean, you can continually feed out these articles to your network as well, which hopefully for corporate trainers will include their internal audience, and then for the entrepreneur trainer will include people who you're interested in attracting to your profile. So I mean, so you can continually promote all this stuff, and there's several different ways how to do that we can get into at a later time. Excuse me, God, allergy cough. But basically, yeah, you can do both there, absolutely. So as we scroll down here, there's some more. As you can see, I've published several things myself. Projects is another area that you could use. So if you are linking to projects that you're undergoing or projects that you've done, and this is probably a little more for the entrepreneurial trainer as opposed to the internal trainer. But if you've worked on significant projects, here's where you can list those, essentially. So I've got some projects in here as well. I think that's all I wanted to show from my, I have a patent, believe it or not. And then, and then you get more into the general experience sections, which for corporate trainers, you know, you can treat a little bit more like a resume. But for entrepreneurial trainers, you can treat this as more opportunities to connect with people by adding value. So you can address some things with each position that you've had in the past about how what you've done in the past has helped people. So it's not about you, it's about them when it comes to writing all of the copy here in the experience section.
So going real quick back to projects, so
Yes.
if you created a new program, whether it be internal company or entrepreneur, is that someplace where you?
Absolutely.
So you not necessarily the program, but talk about what you did or what your
Yeah.
goal was or?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was one other person who I wanted to show here. Let me, can I get on here? This is just so weird how this works. This is a gentleman who we are, oh, I didn't give one. This is a gentleman who we're actually going to be interviewing in one of our marketing webinars next week, but he uses his very effectively. So, especially when it comes to, he's got a lot of honors and awards as well. This guy is one of the guys who actually started social selling. He's got a couple of books out on it. So, you know, he has his podcast there, a couple of ebooks, more podcasts. This is a different way to kind of view the publication section. He's participated in a panel section, presentations. You can put up presentations that you want to address publicly there. All different types of ways to, once again, make your profile into a resource and get it away from that resume style.
His name's Tim Hughes? Is that-
Tim Hughes, yes. Projects, publications, okay. So we went ahead and did all of that. So next you basically need an audience to talk to. So that comes from, and this is going to be a bit more for the internal corporate trainer, but you definitely need to link to people who are in your company to accomplish that. So to do that, I'm going to show you really quick how to do that. So if we can see this whole thing up here, here's the search box here where you do general searches. Up there, it says the word advanced. You would click on that. And then what you can do from here is just go down and type your company name there. So whatever company it is, I would select first degree and second degree as well as third and everyone else. When you scroll down here, please tell me when you scroll down. So when you enter in a company name, let's just go with in honor of Frankie. You can search for current or past people. You would select current, and then whoops, this is important. Oh, I should. And then you would go ahead and click search, and then you can further qualify by keywords if you're looking for specific departments or whatever. And then if you recognize people who you've trained in the past, you go ahead and connect with all of them, essentially. So when you connect with them and when they hopefully accept your connection request, they will start to see your material in their news feeds. So at that point, you can always be communicating with them, you know, even if it's like in the evening and they're offline, but they will go into LinkedIn. If your material appears within a time frame that they're on, they can actually see what it is. And you know, if you find an article, for example, that relates to a training that you did just that day or a week ago or whatever, you can go ahead and share that out to your people, and then they can pick up on it. Another thing that they can do while you're sharing, and let me find a way to do this. So And of course, because we're dealing with live stuff here, I have no idea what we're actually going to stumble across, but let's see. Okay, so 5 ways to connect with people who have greater influence. Let's just say that I did a class on that recently. And so I want to share it out, but I also want to, because let's say a couple of people in that class had questions about it. What you could do is you can go ahead and click share. At that point, the share box comes up. There's a couple things you could do. You can share the update in general. You can post it to any groups that you're in, and you can just send it directly to individuals as well. So for this, for example, and I'm just going to do it real simple. If you're connected to them, that's supposed to be from class. This is what happens when you can't see what you're typing. If you're connected to them via the first degree, you can start tagging people. So let's say Bryn. So Bryn and Michael were in this class as well. So when I click share, what happens is, because I've tagged these people, they will actually, and I can't show it right now, but in there, but in the part where you drop down and it shows recent activity from other people, it will show that you have tagged them in a share. They will then click on that share, see this, and they'll go, oh, this is something that I want to look at, and they'll go ahead and click on the article. So not only are you sharing it to your network in general, you can actually tag people so that they will be sure to be tagged and see it.
Also, so from an entrepreneurial standpoint, then you could also tag potential clients that you wanted to.
As long as you're connected to them by the first degree, yes.
Okay.
As long as they're first degree connection, yeah, you can absolutely do that as well. So again, this is going beyond, you know, the initial resource thing, and really establishing ongoing communication with the people who you've either taught, or with potential clients or current clients, or even you know, clients that you had in the past. Let's say you did a training for them a year ago, and something new has come up on the horizon that you can go in and maybe get a contract to retrain them again. Tag them on LinkedIn to that article, use that as a basis to start a conversation, and you might be able to get in and do another training based on that. So offering insights, we've already gone through that to a certain extent. So that basically involves curating content from publications in your industry and or area. And for the entrepreneur, it just depends on what you specialize in. But that goes more to building yourself as what I call in sales, the go-to guy or the go-to gal in whatever industry that you're in, essentially. So that you're seen as that key opinion leader, because y'all are training, you all should be seen as the key opinion leader because you're the one who are training all these people. So the easiest way to do that is, again, through what I just demonstrated with sharing content. Now, sometimes I get questions about frequency of sharing content. I wouldn't go overboard with it. So, I mean, you don't want to pelt people at work. Some people disagree with me on that. But this is just a good way to build value. So this is, I mean, even though, like I said, this is not exactly the type of thing that I would share, but this does show value added to this share. And then this would make someone who's interested in this type of thing want to click on that a little bit more. So that's what I'm talking about just in general when it comes to that. I wonder if I've shared anything lately. Let me go to my updates. I've been really bad about sharing lately, just because I haven't had time, because the marketing part of my job has. Okay, so here's one for example. LinkedIn launched this feature, lets you search for a job without your boss knowing. So I just kind of added a little bit of value by summarizing a little more and put a little cute part to it. But it got 3 likes. So I mean, even adding just that little bit of value to it does get something read more. And if you do it really right, which I used to do before I ran out of time to do this type type of stuff, it can really not only build the value of the content that you're sharing, but build your own value within your own company or within your client base or future customers as well.
So, are you saying the best way to do that is to give a brief summary, or is it better to give your opinion, or what are the best things?
All of that stuff, actually. So there's basically 4 ways that I teach that you can actually combine a couple of these things as well. So summarize the article, summarize and list what you got out of it. You can pull the particular point from an article and then just say, you know, I like this point in the article, especially when so many articles are done in the form of lists nowadays. You know, the 5 best ways to blah, the 4 best ways to do blah. You could just say something as simple as, I like point number 4 in this article because, and then just put like a really short statement in there and send it out. You can ask questions as well. So what did you think about point number 4 in this article? So you're actually combining a couple things there. And then something that I do sometimes, and I only do this when I really feel like it, but use it sparingly, dispute an article. That's probably not as big for corporate trainers as it is for entrepreneurial trainers, but maybe as a corporate trainer, you find an article that goes against what you have taught in class, and then you can use that as an example. You know, here's why this article is wrong, and here's why what I've taught in class is right, or something like that, basically. It can really generate a lot of strong comments within that share. So especially for the entrepreneurial trainer at that point, because more people are commenting on that share. Whenever someone comments on a share of yours, their network sees that in their timeline. So that's a way to grow your influence even more there. So you are looking for shares by other people. Corporate trainers are looking for shares within their own company more than anything else. But even then, it's powerful as well. So I think we're going to go back to the slide deck at this point. Does anybody have any questions or any observations or anything like that?
Can you share YouTube videos on there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can share videos. You can put those in as publications,
Okay.
or in your summary as well. But yeah, videos are fantastic.
Okay.
When you're putting things in your profile part, how long should they stay there before you swap them out or get them out, or do you just let it keep filling up?
Well, number one, you're restricted as to how many things you can put in your summary. I think it's 7. So I mean, it just depends on how evergreen I think the topics are. If you have something that can stay in there for a long time, but you think it's effective, and especially because when you upload to LinkedIn, you're actually using SlideShare, which is something that they own. One of the things that SlideShare keeps track of is number of downloads. So if you go into the SlideShare part and you're seeing that one of the things in there isn't getting a lot of downloads, you may want to yank it and put something else in there. But if something is getting a lot of downloads, you'll want to keep it in there.
So LinkedIn owns SlideShare?
Yeah, LinkedIn owns SlideShare, yeah. And they've incorporated it pretty well into the platform as well. Excuse me. So, everything that I've talked about before, somebody had brought up train the trainer, everything that I've talked about can actually apply to train the trainer as well, if you think about it, because you have that initial training opportunity, and then train the trainer is all about is about support as well as much as it is about the initial training. So everything that I just mentioned in terms of having information in your profile about using status updates and especially tagging some of these people, the ongoing communication combined with that initial training can be very effective when it comes to train the trainer. And like I say up here, I truly think that it's better than email for communication, because email, as we all know, can be easily ignored because we easily ignore email all the time. If you're committed to using LinkedIn as that professional platform, people generally see the content on there as being professional, so people will generally pay more attention to it as well. The other thing that you can do is potentially set up private groups within LinkedIn. So depending on what train-the-trainer program you've had there, you can actually use that as a repository and as a communication vehicle as well. And because it's a private group, you control who comes in, basically. So LinkedIn groups have actually changed. Once upon a time, it used to be kind of the Wild West in some groups. They've changed it so now that moderators admit only who they want to in the groups. And then you can actually exclude groups from the public search as well. So that's how you set up a private group. So no one else even knows about the group unless you tell them about the group.
So for me, if I go to a company and I do a training or a certification program or something like that, then I could have a group where these folks go, and then they can continue to get additional value. Can they ask questions in there? Do other people within the group?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then the other nice thing, which they literally, and I'm still learning about this, but they literally rolled this out like last week. Oh, how can I get to that? Will this let me go down? How can I see that? Excuse me for just a second here. Why will this not let me go over? That's why I wanted. So LinkedIn messaging, there are certain things that you can create groups within messaging to create a group message. So this one here, for example, this is a group of trainers that I communicate with. So there are 9 people total in this group, and there's a continuing conversation within this group, essentially, so that we use it for a wide variety of things, but and people can be in the group. You can see who's listed in the conversation. You can invite people into the conversation. People can obviously leave the conversation if they want to as well. But once upon a time, LinkedIn, you could only do like simple email style communication. So it was always about just CC and BCC. You can't BCC anymore. But now with this group stuff, and like I said, I'm still learning how to use this. But you can carry on some pretty substantial group conversations as well, which lends itself well, especially to train-the-trainer types of applications. Go ahead and figure out how the heck to get back to here. So next, increasing mind share and revenues with LinkedIn. So this is for all trainers. This is going to be more for people who sell their training. So again, this is all about the profile, sharing, and commenting and liking. So this actually gets more into a bit more of the social selling that I was talking about before. So you all can actually be kind of social sellers and trainers at the same time but by doing essentially the same types of actions. The only difference is, especially when you have people coming in and wanting to talk to you, or the other thing would be, and we're going to look at this here really quick, but LinkedIn has this who's viewed your profile. This becomes very important to the entrepreneurial trainer because hopefully all this content that you're sharing is pushing people to your profile. When they see your profile, you'll be able to see who they are.
Is that only for the paid accounts though? Or?
With the free accounts, you only get the most recent 5.
Oh.
With the professional accounts, you get the most recent 90 days. So that is a potential reason why you would want to move up to a paid account, just to get more access to the people who are viewing your account. So So all of these people here, except for those, all of these people here have viewed my account, have viewed my profile within the last 90 days. I sure as heck want to figure out why. So what I do, I have a particular cadence where I go into their profile, I'll see what's in their profile, make sure that it's someone who I want to connect with, and then at that point I would send them a personalized message from their account saying, Chris, I noticed that you viewed my profile, I looked at your profile and think we can help each other out with our business, let's connect on LinkedIn, Bob. When I do that, I generally get about a 60 to 70% acceptance rate for my connection request. So customizing the request based on people who have already shown an interest in you. So this isn't like a cold call or a cold message or whatever. These people have viewed your profile. And because you mentioned in your message that they viewed your profile, that will kind of, it will hopefully register in their mind that they actually have done it, unless it's someone who's viewed your profile like a week or two ago and they may have forgotten about it. So it's kind of important to check who's your vote for the entrepreneurial trainer, to check who's viewed your profile every day or every couple of days or whatever, so that you could respond to those people in more of a timely manner. And that will help you build connections and potentially clients as well.
Now, sometimes when people look at your profile, when you go back to look, you can't tell who they are. How does that happen?
Yeah, because they have chosen to view profiles anonymously. And that's just the way it is. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about that.
They're detectives.
Detectives, attorneys, people like that, probably. People who you don't want to reach out to anyhow, basically. So I really wouldn't worry about it. So that's probably, let's just.
Must be a bad guy.
It's my network.
Yeah.
It's my parole officer.
Okay, so we have, actually, we're filling time pretty well here. I'm kind of happy about that. I was really concerned this was going to go short. So let's talk really quick about Microsoft's LinkedIn acquisition and what I think the impact on learning and development is going to be. So first of all, the deal hasn't even closed yet, so it's, and Salesforce is now challenging it in Europe. I don't know if you've heard about that. That's probably not going to go anywhere. I think it's just sour grapes by Salesforce because they bid for LinkedIn as well, and Microsoft beat them out with a much better deal for LinkedIn, basically. But no matter what, just know that nothing's going to happen for at least 6 months and probably longer, because it's going to take a while for Microsoft to integrate itself into LinkedIn products and vice versa, basically. So some of the projections that I've been hearing include the insertion of lynda.com, which lynda.com is a video-based kind of training platform for everyone, for everyone out there, basically. Excuse me. LinkedIn bought them 2 years ago, something like that. So anyhow, so one of the things that is being projected is that you're going to see lynda.com materials start popping up within Microsoft products. So for example, if you're in an Excel spreadsheet and you want to do something and you can't figure out how to do it, when you go to help, something that may potentially pop up is a Lynda course on how to do that type of thing. That's probably one of the bigger things that's been talking about, as I mentioned at the top of the at the top of the presentation. Social selling was mentioned as one of the reasons why LinkedIn bought, or Microsoft wants to buy LinkedIn. There's all types of potential applications there, especially when it comes to Cortana, which is their Siri voice activated type of thing in throughout Microsoft products. So let's say, for example, you're going to an appointment and Cortana detects that you're walking into a building where this appointment is happening. Cortana will offer to bring up a LinkedIn profile of the person or of the people who you are going to meet ahead of time, just so you can brush up on on the people who you're going to be meeting with. That's just, I mean, there are all types of potential, I don't want to say ramifications, but benefits is a little too promotional, but just all types of situations that can happen based on this. Another biggie, and this is more for sales, but LinkedIn data being incorporated into Microsoft Dynamics, which is their customer relation management system. That's talked about. They're also going to offer more data to Microsoft Dynamics competitors, but I'm guessing that Microsoft Dynamics will get access to a lot more data than the competitors will, which is one of the reasons why Salesforce is kind of ticked off about the whole deal in the first place and why they're challenging it in Europe. So the big question that I unfortunately don't have an answer to is, will training departments be able to plug into this? So will they be able to take their training and plug into Microsoft products? My guess is maybe, maybe not really sure about that, but there's probably going to be a cost to it. And it's just going to depend on things as they roll out. But just realize that with this, Microsoft is definitely thinking more about training in general, and that will it all be Lynda content that gets imported into all these Microsoft products, or will other people be able to play as well? Who knows? Antitrust lawyers will probably end up talking about that more than anything else.
Just as an aside, if you are a member of Lexington Public Library, you can get on remotely and access any Lynda content for free right now.
Wow.
Really? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be
That's
definitely
your
taking
library
advantage of
card.
that.
You just have to have your library card number. You can do it remote.
Yeah.
You do it remotely.
That's really good to know. That's really hot to know too. I like that. I like that idea. So I think, yep, that's it. I've got a Q&A slide up there. We've been doing Q&A throughout this entire thing, though, which I love, quite frankly. That's how all my trainings are. It's actually more of a constant back and forth, which I enjoy very much. But does anybody have any general questions, anything that I didn't answer that you wanted to see answered or anything like that?